Howdy ho, amigos, and welcome to FFB, your source for everything Premier League and Chelsea. Today, we're going to discuss why the heck does the Lewis want Liverpool to win the Premier League title this year? Disclaimer, obviously, if Chelsea is able to go on a run because Liverpool drop off for City, I'm going for Chelsea. Let's not get stupid over here either. I'm just saying that given if things sort of play out the way that we expect them to, why support one team over another? It's sort of a broad conversation how I came to thinking. So before you kill me, I'm going to show you sort of how and why I reached this conclusion, which is applicable every time we're not in a tournament. I think we should apply it to other cups. We will certainly make one in the further stages of the Champions League, but I think in every cup. Why? Because ultimately we need to look out for Chelsea's interests every single day, in every single way, in every single tournament, in every single league. Let's discuss what are the main reasons to backing one team, say, over another when not in the running anymore. And I think the main one is rivalries. We have rivalries. We have derbies. We have rivalries with Leeds. We have in the past with Liverpool and United. All kinds of rivalry, but certainly our derby rivals and our neighbors, our pesky neighbors, are always a problem. So Arsenal and Spurs usually are the ones that we love to hate. I think hate's a strong word. We might say that, but I don't think we always mean it. Those of us that are good at heart, but we certainly enjoy watching their fans cry for a little bit, even though I feel bad after a while when they haven't been doing bad for too long. I don't like enjoying the Schadenfreude or just their pain, but I do enjoy it a little bit. And you don't want them to do well. That's the main thing. And I think the other one is to protect legacy. So before we even get started, I do want to go over a couple of things. You have to bear with me. I'm new. I'm trying to control this video thing here. But we need to provide some context as to sort of where we are, where things are in general. In terms of the Premier League. So Premier League titles, I know most of you guys have and know all of this, but bear with me. It's worth reviewing and something that we have to remember. So, what clubs in English football have the most titles? Manchester United with 20, Liverpool with 19, which brings up one great point that we're going to discuss. Arsenal with 13. As much as they're rivals, we know that they've been ahead of us for quite a while. And this is one that should really sting your bum. Why the hell? But City has 10. Followed by Everton and Villa, which historically were always ahead of us. And Sunderland, who's been ahead of us for a while, which we should have surpassed by now already. The rest, I don't even want to care or think about. But Newcastle's up and coming. If we don't focus on protecting our legacy and getting some titles, not just having young, amazing players that we can make money on. You know, guys, that's a separate video we'll discuss. How titles are very important here. So in this case, if you have this legacy of want to create a legacy of being the greatest team in the world, and look, all of us dreamed about that, but it became a reality when Roman Abramovich bought into the team. And I was a young man at the time, and suddenly it became realistic to dream that not only could we catch up with United and Arsenal at the time, which were the sort of, up and coming, the dominant teams in the league at that time, but, Roman would speak of and made us believe that, we're in it for long term to become an elite club worldwide and compete with the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona as well. And that it was just, yes, it would take a few decades, but that we were here to play and we were here to win and we were here to become the greatest team, no matter how long that would take. And a no-nonsense approach. And I believed it, and I believe it now, and I believe that's the legacy that we're fighting. And I hope that the club owners now understand this. We don't want to be RB Leipzig and be, with all the due respect to them, but a feeder club or anything like that, And we'll discuss why am I bringing this up now? Because in the Arsenal point, the last time that Arsenal won, it was with the Invincibles. It's been over 20 years that they haven't won, and obviously Chelsea that put an end to that with Jose Mourinho's Chelsea. And since then, they haven't been able to win. And that has allowed team like City to pretty much be close to catching up with them, and Chelsea to surpass them in the European stage. And legacy starts getting, compromised at that point. So all this is to say also that I care who has the most, because our goal is to become the biggest club and the one that has the most titles. So in this case, if Liverpool win, they're gonna match United, which as a football fan is great and makes for a next great couple of seasons if any of those two have a shot to the title, to certainly have that claim. And it keeps the same distance away from us. And look, to you, the guys that are not Chelsea fans are going to say this guy is silly. They're sitting there with 6 talking about the guy that's 20. But yeah, and yes, that's who we are, man. That's who we want to become. And I'd rather try to defeat 2 teams that get 20 than one that runs away with 22, 24, and so on. So it doesn't hurt us in that aspect. And as you can see in City, we can't afford to let them get away from us, and certainly Arsenal to grow. So from this perspective, there is no question. Here I have another chart that I think, so that was sort of my thought process on that aspect. And then with that, what happens is they grow, the fans grow, which is another thing on a team disappearing or not, is their fan base. So let's look at now. This is, of course, taking into account social media, right? So, we got to be a little bit weary of that. But this here is the clubs with the most fans in the world by the metrics of social media, which I think counts top 10. Which Chelsea wanted to be. By the way, we were not. And this is what Chelsea winning did. And yeah, you don't have to win every year. And even City has struggled to gain some fans as much as they could have. Chelsea would have gained more in that time by winning so many goddamn titles. But certainly, we appeared in this when we hadn't been. And now we have an up-and-coming Newcastle and other dynamics. And Arsenal is about to drop off. But if they win a couple of titles, they win the younger fans. Because not only do you have to win often, you have to win spread out. If you go 2 decades, you miss out on 1 or 2 generations of fans. The smaller the team, the smaller the revenue, and you start falling in a cycle that you don't want to. You can ask about Liverpool for disappearing for years on that, how tough that is to deal with, and they're just back now. So we can't allow that to happen. As you see, we've been surpassed by PSG, which is another sort of Johnny-come-lately. If you think about it, yes, they had some tradition. But absolutely, we've been surpassed by Manchester City this year in terms of online fans. And these are all these younger kids that pick them when they play EAFC now or FIFA online. And when all the commercials and all the marketing is about them and they see them winning the title. Because the reality is that's how fans are built and made, which is sometimes sad, because I certainly became a Chelsea fan before none of that stuff. It was Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, an amazing 9, and a small creative 10 as a fan of Maradona to see Gianfranco Zola, and things like that. And I always loved the underdog, so it was beautiful to become what Chelsea has become. But as we can see there, we're really dropping off on our fan base, and we're being a little bit humiliated by Chelsea. And again, with a Newcastle base that's coming up. And Chelsea did an amazing job also under Roman to become this cool, to revive the fact that it's a Chelsea team and the Hollywood aspect of it. And, it kind of sucks for us that are like hardcore football fans, but it's beautiful and it's attractive to the younger crowd, and to have the Hollywood fans coming through and coming in. Look at what Ryan Reynolds did with their small team. So, and with the Americans, we thought we were getting, and honestly, I've seen very little of. And I think it's also because it's not that sexy when you're not winning titles, and we're in this trap. You have to win. You have to win to build legacy. You have to win to maintain fans, and that's what we're seeing there. Now, separate, we're going to have to also in the later stages of the Champions League, we're gonna have to take that into account, and I'll make a title. I'll make some videos about that as well, because that's going to matter also in the latter stages of the Champions League. If Arsenal wins one Champions League, that puts them one away from us, right? And that's not, again, it's the same thing. You take into account rivalry, but you have to be realistic on who's winning and what's happening there. And Chelsea, look, we just have two, man. We have as many as Nottingham Forest. But we'll get into that later when we're more advanced, in the more advanced stages of the Champions League, certainly. We'll talk more about that. And let me bring this back to full view, or a little bit of a bigger view. Okay, and then, so Arsenal has had this drought since 2003, which is beautiful. But there's a point where I would even go for Arsenal, because I don't want, teams to get out of reach, like we saw there with Manchester United and Liverpool. Also, broadly, I don't like the dominance that we've seen from Manchester City, and this is speaking as a Chelsea fan. So there's a point where I'm less concerned about Arsenal and them when I see this team getting away with it, because as you saw, there's a consequence from that. It's not a zero-sum game, but it can approach it in the sense that they start taking on the fans and the media and the marketing, and then with more stringent FFP rules, let's see what happens to them on that. Your ability to produce income is important to the survival of your club, and that comes through the fans, through selling shirts, through selling tickets. So it really matters. And then broadly, as a football fan, we need to stop City too, because you don't like this Farmers League effect, kind of like you see in the Bundesliga, and you don't want these guys just winning year after year. Thank God for Liverpool, which has challenged them for some of these years. Chelsea did for a little bit there at the beginning. United did at the very beginning. Because again, this is not a Pep Guardiola thing. Guys, don't forget about that. Since their takeover, they've surpassed Chelsea in their leagues. And they already got one Champions League. They're just one away. And they were already buying. I mean, remember Mancini won the first one. Pellegrini won the next one. They were already a Champions League winning team that consistently bought the biggest and greatest players in the Premier League. And they built an amazing base that, of course, a man like Guardiola, I would say, is the greatest coach to grab the top team and maintain it at the top. But you don't want them running away with this Farmers League crap. So, no. So, Liverpool, I prefer them challenging and keeping them at bay, keeping, United at bay in terms of the big titles, bringing down City down a peg, and not letting our rivals win the title either. I don't think we're much hurt by it. We're not competitive to our Liverpool right now, and I'm hoping that 1 and 2 years we will be. So again, that's because I'm coming from this legacy that I believe came from Roman, where I believed it, guys, and I still believe it. Chelsea can be an elite world-class powerhouse. Well, it has been, but if you do this sustainably and long enough, you start leaving teams like Arsenal behind, like Newcastle behind, and eventually catching up in titles and fan base to the Uniteds of the world, certainly surpassing the Arsenals of the world. That's the battle we need to be focused on. Even when we're 12th or 13th or whatever the hell we were last year, we have to see those as blips in the long marathon to where we're going. And we need to rise to certainly be in the top 4 of all time. So I invite you guys to please post your comments. Tell me, am I crazy? Why should I not be rooting for Liverpool? Again, given the disclaimer, Chelsea's not in the running. Do we need to put a stop to City? Does every team in the league need to put a stop to this madness of winning all these games? And aren't we better off, certainly, with Liverpool than Arsenal as Chelsea fans? And then all of you that are not Chelsea fans, do you see Chelsea as a threat to the title hopes this year, to any of these other teams? I mean, we do see City in a slump, but we know what happens in December, January. This year might be the exception. This might be the year that finally Pep's team sort of collapses. But do you see Chelsea as a threat? And who do you support? Those of you that are not Chelsea fans, but still don't have a team, your Newcastles, your Spurs, your, who are you rooting for this year to run away with the Premier League? Please let me know in your comments. Please like, please subscribe. I'm gonna make an effort to make better and better videos for you every day and all the time. Keep improving and keep this debate open. A mature, grown event. I am a fan. I do have the blue tinted glasses on sometimes, but I try to be objective. I'm always looking out for the interest of football as a whole, as the main mantra of my life, and why, again, I don't like the running away with the titles and all that dominance. I do care, unless it's Chelsea doing it, where I might be a little, like with the spending. I wasn't complaining too much at the time when we were the ones that sort of created that environment, and now the loophole champions that we are. But still, those loopholes have to be closed. I think leagues need to become more competitive to protect our sport in the long run. Issues why we had with the Super League, a bunch of you guys did, and so did I at the time. So I do care about football first, but about Chelsea. So again, you guys that are not Chelsea fans, that are maybe Villa fans or whatever, who do you root for when your team is out, and why? Do you think like I do? Are you worried about legacy? Or are you just focused on rivalry? As long as it's not your immediate rivals, you don't care who the hell it is. Let me know. Leave your comments. I really love having this conversation. I think we can do updates on this subject as the year goes by, and certainly with the other championships. I care we're out of the cup. I'm really upset that we're out of the cup. Everybody trashes the Carabao Cup. I don't care, man. What's wrong with you? Titles matter. Silverware matters. It doesn't matter if you're big or small. You should still win. You should still be in it to win it. And given that, now I care. That's me. That's the kind of fan I am. I don't want Arsenal winning the goddamn cup. I don't even know how many they cut. I haven't done that video. I don't even know how many they have. I just rather it not be them. Unless there's a scenario where they have less than me, and I don't want the other alternative getting ahead, because I want Chelsea to be the team that wins the most cups and everything. And I'm sure many of you are out there that way. I just don't know if you're analytical that way or you're more passionate. And you just don't care about the numbers. You don't care about the legacy. You just want your rivals to lose. You want your rival fans to cry. That can be very satisfying too. So let me know in the comments. Everyone, have a great rest of the week. Stay happy, and come on, you Blues.